You've got some high soil in the back, basically from the patio to the corner. You can see the foundation. The grass is a little high, but you can't see 4 to 6 inches of the foundation. And that's really what you want to be able to see. Over in this corner, you got some wood debris. Where are we looking? Yeah, right here at this corner. So they've got a diverter above the patio cover, and then where the patio cover slopes down, they've got a diverter on that. So that diverts the water to both sides. And so it looks like a lot of water's coming down over here. So you got some excessive moisture, soil erosion, mildew on the walls from the splashback. So excessive moisture is really what's in that area. Okay. Heavy foliage is anywhere where the foliage touches the wall, even if it's like one branch, because that's sort of a bridge for wood destroying insects to get onto the wall.
I've been watching it.
And then the wood to ground contact. So on these columns that support the patio cover, the ones out near the yard are sitting on tall concrete like supports, and then the ones closer to the house, I can't see this one, but I assume that this one's built the same as the one on this side. The cover, the aluminum cover on the bottom is raised up, and they're actually sitting on wood that's sitting directly on the concrete, and it's saturated with water. So I'm calling it wood rot, and the other one's probably the same, even though I can't see it.
Gotcha.
So,
and it's not a hardy plank, it's actually wood?
That's on the ground, yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's just it's being used as support.
Okay, just okay, I got it.
So that's the termite diagram. So on the report, so your foundation is functioning as intended. So what I do with the zip level is a 0 at the front door, and then it measures up or down in 1/10 of an inch. And so I've gone all over the house. Right here you got about almost a 1/2 inch drop from the laminate to the kitchen floor. And so I've accounted for that, added 4/10 to my measurement. And so this is basically what you come up with. You've got your high spot is 6/10 of an inch, your low spot is 0. So you're basically within 1/2 an inch.
So that's okay. That's acceptable, right?
Yeah, that's good.
That's within threshold.
There's no other. I also look for things like doors not latching, doors rubbing in the frame, windows that won't open. I didn't have any issues with any doors or windows.
Okay.
The grading and the drainage is okay. So you've got a good slope to either side. You've got a good slope to the street. You have kind of a swale in the back, but I'm starting to see soil erosion along the sides of the house because there's no gutters. So wherever you have a downward slope, I would recommend gutters to get that water away from the foundation. Eventually they'll erode and leave a low spot next to your foundation. You have water standing next to your foundation. So I pointed out some issues with soil erosion in some places, high soil, no gutters, but right now the drainage is functioning like it's supposed to.
Okay.
The roof covering looks good. There's some maintenance issues. Oh, okay, so let's just start with that. The patio cover, they have tape on all the seams, metal tape on all the seams. So, and then there's moisture staining on the underside of that. So I believe that's probably leaking. Just so you know, the cover itself.
So there's some opportunities to do some repair.
Yeah, it's got some rust around the sides. And then with the metal tape that just says, why is metal tape on there?
Yeah.
Because it's probably leaking. Now the main roof of the house, so the shingles, what you've got is you've lost some granules. So low granule loss noted, and that's just basically like you see the shingles here, and those are all good, and then you have kind of a strip where there's a lot of the granules have come off, and there's several areas like that. I've taken some pictures of them. It's like right here, and then down here. These are okay, except maybe in some spots. So the shingles are not thinning out so much that they're leaking. I mean, I've been up in the attic. I don't see any evidence of any leaking. There's also some shingles missing in a couple places. And it does, and even those areas don't look like they're about to start leaking, but like right here there's a missing shingle. Right here there's a damaged shingle.
Okay.
And then
how old do they look?
missing shingle here.
The roof is probably the original roof of the house, probably.
I'm sorry?
I'm guessing it's going to be the original roof of the house.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know when it was built. What year
2007.
was it built? 2007? Okay.
2006, 2007.
Okay. Well, I was going to guess about 15 years or so.
That's about right.
That's pretty close.
Oh, okay.
So just some missing shingles in some areas. And there's one shingle that's actually just turned over. This one right here. It's basically just flipped over. So that just tells me that the shingles weren't adhering properly. The wind blew, it flipped over. Those that are missing probably just broke. Okay. So just some maintenance with that. There's some nail heads exposed on flashing. So you've got so a number of places, like this is flashing where the nail heads are exposed. All those nail heads should be covered with roofing cement because when they rust, they expand and contract and then they back out of those holes. And so what that causes is raised flashing. So this corner, all these are ventilation for your attic, just passive vents. And so all of these have a corner that's come up because the nails are starting to back out. Okay. So a few areas with that, some on the ridge. So right on your ridge vent, you've got nails. They're covered with roofing cement, but you can see it's deteriorating. And so you can see the heads on here. You can almost see the heads over here.
Right.
And then you got some vents here in the back where you just have, there's rust on the vents. The flashing is the part that's flush with the roof. So you got rust in several areas. So basically just all the vents up there, go up there, cover all the nail heads with roofing cement, paint everything, and you're good to go. And then those shingles, you want to watch those areas because if the shingles below that become loose and start to flip up when the wind blows, then you could have a water penetration issue. So you might want to think about getting somebody to come back and fix those areas.
You gotta have maintenance.
Yeah.
But all roofs over time need constant maintenance, just like anything else.
So attic, so some areas you have 6 inches and some it's more like 10 to 12. And you've got...
Talking about the insulation.
Yeah, it's batt insulation in some areas with mineral wool on top of it. In other areas it's just piled up mineral wool. And took some general photos. So this is kind of an area. This looks pretty good. You can just see these big tall ceiling rafters sticking up. This is an area where I would say it's low, where you can see a lot of the wood. And this is, and I said 50-50, it's really probably more like 60 good, 40 low, maybe even 70-30. They're just an area, like when you come up here, well,
so you need to get an insulation tech.
Do what?
No, I told her insulation technician.
Oh, okay. And then framing looks good. I mean, I've got pictures of the rafters, the hip rafters, the ridge rafters. Nothing is separated. You've got purlin supports along the sides and rafter ties. Those are things to prevent roof sag. I don't see any separations in any of that. So the attic looks good. Walls on the exterior. I've done thermal imaging throughout the house. I don't see any evidence, and that's after running plumbing also. I don't see evidence of moisture from plumbing leaks or from roof leaks in the ceiling or in the walls. I've got some photos on my thermal imaging camera that I'll add to the ceiling and walls section. On the exterior, you've got a few cracks in the brick, nothing major. So this is on the left side, just a little crack in the windowsill that kind of comes down here.
Looks like it's in the mortar.
Yeah, it's in the mortar. Here, this is just in the corner, in the mortar also. I think the only place where it goes through...
Is it something that needs to be read?
Yeah, just, you can get concrete in a tube, like caulking, and just go along and squeeze that in there, fill those cracks to keep water from getting in. You've got typical settlement for a brick home. You're gonna fill it, and it's gonna probably crack again. You just need to fill it again. You just don't want water getting in there. But monitor that, because if it gets bigger, then you want to find out why.
Okay.
It's always nice when you buy a home that's been established for a little while, because the issues that would resonate, they've had time to manifest themselves and be present.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, so.
So under siding, minor damage maintenance recommended. This is all caulking. So wherever you have, like this is on the chimney. So you have these trim boards and it's caulked until you get to about the bottom 6 inches, and it's starting to split. This is the other side. It's actually a little worse. This is kind of delaminated. The bottom piece of that trim board, they probably didn't paint it. And even though hardy plank doesn't rot, it will absorb water. And so it's
like
starting to kind of delaminate right there.
Gotcha.
The rest of it's stuff like this, where you have trim meeting hardy plank, and this
Caulking
is
up
under the front porch. It's all sealed up everywhere except just to the right of the front door. And that's under the cover, so it's really not a big deal, but everywhere else is sealed up. My gestures.
Okay.
Tear it up.
The garage framing, so right here.
I saw that.
This is not rot yet. It's not covered with paint. It looks like maybe some impact damage from the split in the wood. But the entire thing on both sides, the sides are the worst, but I can see the wood grain going across the top. So I'd recommend repairing this with some wood putty to fill those cracks, caulking the edge, and then painting the whole thing so that it will stop absorbing water, because in a short time that could turn into wood.
Yeah, the paint will seal it.
Yeah, the paint will seal it up. These are the damaged areas that I was talking about. So this is the bottom edge where you can see wood, and then you've got some rust along the bottom edge as well.
Okay.
And then some more rust along the seams up here. And for that, I would say just sanding everything down and paint it.
Okay.
The whole back wall, the paint's failing. You can just see, let me just show you
The exterior.
Yeah, the exterior. So you can see where the fasteners are, and so you can just see the paint fading, and that's basically from the entire back, well, from the patio over.
Okay.
Because this is all windows over here.
But that's what paint does over time. Fade, get worn, it's exposed to the elements, sunshine hitting it.
Yeah.
The wood rot moisture issues are the columns that I talked to you already about.
Yeah.
You have a couple areas on the siding. This is on the chimney where these nail heads are exposed on the chimney cap, and they're rusted, so they're backing out. And then you've got some, this is on the left side, on the fascia board, nails backing out.
Okay.
What is that? Drywall tape joints. Oh yeah, drywall tape joints. Okay, so that's right here. This crack that's right above the fireplace.
Right.
You got a couple on the ceiling in the master bedroom too. And those are, anything that's on a tape joint is really, I mean, it's from the house settling, but it's not a crack to be concerned about if it's along a tape joint. Those are mostly straight up and down or horizontal. If you see anything diagonal, then that could be an issue, and you want to have that looked at.
Gotcha.
Ceilings and floors, I think that was, let's see, here's a picture of that. So it's in the, I think when you walk in the back left corner.
Okay.
Oh, it's more tape joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, tape joints, and then in this area, is that here? Where is that? Hot nail. That's just an area where you have, yeah, that's right here too.
Nail
where
pops.
the nail, it's covered with mud, and then and the house movement causes those to back out a little
Yeah,
bit.
when he says mud, it's like sheetrock that popped up
Yeah,
with it.
sheetrock. Let's see, doors. The back door has a little bit of a gap in the weather seal, and the lock is the lock on the knob is not working properly. I finally did get it unlocked, but I mean it took a lot of kind of
It needs an
maneuvering.
adjustment or replacement.
Yeah, it needs to be just so, like, if you're trying to get out, you want to be able to unlock your door.
Yeah. Okay.
Garage door into living space. It doesn't have an automatic closing, like a spring hinge to close it. If you're warming up your car, you don't want fumes coming in your house, so you might want that door to close. A lot of people disable that because they're trying to bring in their groceries and the door keeps closing. And so that's probably what happened here. They probably took it off.
Does the garage door opener work?
I don't have the remote, but the button works on the
okay.
And then if they don't have, and they usually give that to you at closing, but if they don't, then you can always get a $20 universal and connect it.
Okay.
Click, click.
Door stopped missing there at the front door. I don't remember seeing it anywhere else, but I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
And,
So it doesn't hit the wall. Boom.
Yeah.
Then you gotta get one of those little circular plastic things.
Let's see, windows, like I said about the windows, they all open. I would say most of the windows have some minor caulking issues on the exterior. Just areas like this where it's peeling off the brick, it's peeling off the brick here, and it's split, you know, things like that. It's minor. I wouldn't say any windows are probably leaking because of it, but it's something you want to be aware of. It's kind of like the roof. You just have to provide maintenance for that.
Okay.
They all opened. This is at the interior frame at the master bathroom. Just along the edge, I could see some gaps. They caulked it with new caulking, and then it dried, and it opened up. They didn't put a thick enough bead on there.
Okay.
And then all the rest of, like I said, the windows all open. I don't see any damaged seals or anything, but there's some windows that are dirty, like in the master bedroom. This window right here is super dirty, and that's from the splashback from the water coming off the roof and it's just splashing back onto the house. Okay. It's got a little mildew on it. Okay. The fireplace functioned. I don't know if you saw it, but I lit it up.
No.
The roof is on fire. We don't need no water.
The cabinet in the master bathroom, delaminating a little bit at the top.
Yeah, I saw that.
All right, on to electrical. There were no electrical, that's the wrong button. There were no electrical issues with the panel. There's some, it's nice and clean. It's aluminum, bringing the service in, copper, distributing the power throughout the house. You do have white wire right here. Normally hot wires are red or black. It's the same copper, just for safety purposes. I'd like to point out that is, like if don't call an electrician to come and fix that, because he's gonna just color it with a magic marker, color it black. But that's just a safety issue. And then you do have one arc fault. None of the other ones are arc faults. Arc fault is kind of a fire prevention. If you ever do any electrical upgrades, you might consider adding more arc fault. All the GFCI protected outlets work. Bathrooms, exterior, kitchen.
I'm thinking they prepared the home for inspections.
I'm sorry?
I'm thinking they prepared the home for inspections. Because that's rare.
Could be, yeah.
That all this is like in such good, you know. Isn't it rare in a resale home at this age? Like usually you find more opportunities, right?
You know, I don't know when the cutoff is. There's a lot of times where you don't see GFCI protected outlets. But it looks like because they have them, normally you see bathrooms that are connected with one, but like this bathroom has its own, master bathroom has its own, so they probably did upgrade those.
Okay, good to know.
A couple, the foyer light, the shower, the light over the shower, those are not working. The light in the back at the chandelier like light they have back there is got an extension cord that comes down to the exterior outlet. And you're not supposed to use an extension cord for in place of fixed wiring. It's really not a bad idea because it's going into a GFCI protected outlet, but because it's not fixed wiring, I'm just calling it out so you're aware of it.
Okay. And when he says the lights are not operable, more than likely it's just putting a new light bulb in.
Yeah, it's probably just a bulb. But it's a good idea sometimes to have the seller show you with a new bulb, because you don't want to get it and then change the bulb and learn that.
But it still doesn't work.
Yeah, it's the fixture or the switch or the wiring or something like that. Heating worked with no issues. I've got some photos of the heat coming out of the vents with the thermal imaging camera, so you can see it. This is the furnace as it sits up in the attic. This is your heat exchange unit. You got a nice clean blue flame. That's the wrong button, I think. So now we have to take a quick intermission while I reboot my iPad because it's not letting me look at the pictures.
Do you want to overall just tell us about the...
Yeah, I can just finish with herbal. So heat was working like it's supposed to. I'm looking for a minimum of 100 degrees. I got 100 plus, 115 to 125 and all the vents. Then I switched it to AC, and what I'm doing is I take the temperature at the return and at the vent, and I'm looking for a 15 to 20 degrees cooler at the vent. So I had a 15 to 17 degree range. It was 74 at the return, and then 57 to 59 at all the vents. You have a media filter in the attic, which is that big blue box up there. It's a 4-inch filter. It only needs to be changed about once every 6 months. So you should
change your clocks.
Yeah, and you can change. It's easier, in my mind, it's easier to change that one filter twice a year than to change your other returns, because those have to be changed monthly. Now you don't want to use both.
Because it causes too much suction.
Yeah, there is a filter in the master bedroom in the return that needs to be taken out, just because you can see it's already sucking up into the vent.
He is correct about that. I've heard so many AC technicians always say, if you have a media filter, there's no reason to keep because it causes too much strain on the system.
Exactly. Then let's see, plumbing, no issues with plumbing.
So the AC was actually 17, so that's a pretty good temperature drop.
So
that's hey, you won't believe how many marginals I have where it's just barely doing it.
It did, I have to turn it on to look at the date. I think it was 2000.
Probably 2007.
Yeah.
Well, was it 410 or was it R22?
It was 410A as your refrigerant, which is the new environmentally
The new one. Okay,
friendly.
good. That's good.
But it isn't an older unit. I mean, 2007. That's 14 years old. So I mean, just gotta keep it maintained. Get a good home warranty. But it's working like it's supposed to work. Plumbing,
That's
like
good.
I said, was good. No issues with leaks on drains or supplies.
And would you say the plumbing, being that it's PEX plumbing, is usually a little bit more efficient than copper and PVC?
I haven't really ever seen any issues with PEX. I mean, with copper, copper breaks when it freezes. You do have copper coming into the house. This is your main water supply is on the right front. So you got copper coming in. Now I don't know. Then you have your PEX panel in the garage, so it could be it's probably bringing your water to the PEX panel, and then everything's going out PEX. There's no way for me to know if PEX attaches to copper, and then copper comes down, and then they have PEX coming out of the wall. So I don't know if it's all PEX. You might inquire with the seller about that if they did that, or if they attached it to some of the copper. The spa tub in the bathroom works. The water heater works. You get hot water everywhere you're supposed to get hot water. The oven and the cooktop work. The back left burner didn't light. The anti-tip device on the oven is not there. So basically, I just kind of pull it forward, and if it comes up off the ground, that means like if that oven door is open and somebody were to fall and land on it, it would just turn the whole oven over on top of them. So there should be a device in the back. Maybe it needs to just slide back a little more, but something that sits on the foot, and the foot slides kind of into it, and it keeps it from tipping over. The food disposer is not working at all. I turned it on, and there's nothing coming on. Coming on there. So they've got the drain for the dishwasher. Since the food disposer doesn't work, I guess they changed it. So the food disposer drain, the dishwasher drain goes into the P-trap, or goes above the P-trap on this sink. It should actually go into the food disposer. So if you ever replace that food disposer, you want to move the drain from the dishwasher over there. Because you're going to get food particles out of there. This sink might clog because you're going to get food particles from the dishwasher. The dishwasher soap cup is defective. The dishwasher works, the spray arms are spraying, but the soap cup won't stay closed.
Yeah.
The garage door opener worked like it was supposed to. I put my foot through the beam at the bottom and it reversed. But when I did upward pressure, so like if you were a kid or a pet or some object were to fall down and the door were to close, it should sense that and go back up. And I put quite a bit of pressure and it didn't reverse. Yeah, I would just check with a garage door guy or maybe a YouTube. I think you can adjust the sensitivity. And then the dryer exhaust, I just wrote it up. I would recommend cleaning. You got quite a bit of lint at the front part.
It's always a fire hazard.
There's no way to know really. It kind of just disappears up into the, you know, you run out of light, you can't see it. So it may have never been cleaned. I would just recommend cleaning that. That's everything right there.
That's everything. This concludes the inspection for today, May 18th. Over and out.